So, what do farm animals eat? We can look that up pretty easily. For example, you can look up and find out that chickens eat just about everything. You'll probably also find a small list of things they definitely can't eat, which are dangerous or poisonous for them to eat. But what do chickens like to eat? What will they choose if they have a choice? A couple months ago, I started to let my chickens free range. Up until then, they were eating a typical layer mash. And what I found out is they eat bugs. That's what they really like to eat. I had a big problem with what I thought were fire ants, but turned out to be harvester ants. And they were everywhere, and they bite. Very unpleasant ants. But the chickens eliminated them. I haven't seen any in a long time. There are also other varieties of smaller ants that chickens like to eat, and a lot of termites around here that the chickens also like to eat. They scratch and dig for the termite nests and eat them up. Um, it's been a dry year, so not a lot of bigger bugs like grasshoppers, but chickens, of course, will eat them when they can. And the chickens also seem to be eating up all the lizards around here. And if they can catch a mouse, they'll eat that too. And now that it's getting colder and there's not as many bugs, they seem to eat a lot of grass seeds. And they still seem to go for that over the chicken feed that I give them. I make sure they have enough every morning and they walk right by it to go browse. I guess that layer mash isn't all that tasty after all. When given a choice, my goats like to browse. They eat leaves, twigs, bark of trees and shrubs, and they'll also eat grass and flowers and berries if they find them. But goats like a lot of variety. They only eat a few leaves from one plant and then move on to the next. They love alfalfa, of course, but they get sick of it pretty quickly. If all they have to eat is alfalfa, they kind of get bored with it. After they fill up on alfalfa for breakfast, they're not too keen on it for lunch. There's not that much food around here in the desert, so I do supplement with some goat chow or other purchased grain for them. And again, when you feed them grains and feed like that, they like some variety. So if I'm feeding them different ingredients, I don't mix it all together because they would rather pick and choose as they see fit. And rabbits, of course, like alfalfa and they like the grasses around here. But I found it interesting that they really like roots. When they can, they like to dig and eat the roots of the grasses and roots of some of the trees here. And they'll chew bark as well. So free range seems to be working out pretty well. The animals seem healthy. And of course, I save a lot on feed. And the animals are also more entertained. It just gives them a lot of stimulation to walk around and look for food. I think the main drawback to free range, of course, is predators. My goats don't have an issue. They're big enough to fight for themselves, but I do put them away at night. Chickens are more vulnerable, but I haven't seen anything try to attack a chicken during the day. And of course, I also put them away at night. My rabbits won't go away at night. I could never get them back in their cage once they escaped. So they stay out during the night, and the predators have done a lot of damage. I started off with about 30 rabbits that were wandering around, and I'm down to two. And that took about 6 months to happen. So a lot of coyotes around here, and these rabbits aren't really capable of defending themselves. I've started making my own feed. If you look at some of these prepackaged feeds, the ingredient list is pretty simple. It's, depending on the animal, it's some bulk grain usually. For chicken feed, it's usually wheat. For rabbits, of course, it's grass and alfalfa pressed into pellets. And for goats, it's also mostly grains. And they add some vitamins and minerals to give a balanced and healthy mix. They adjust the fiber and they adjust the protein content. Well, I can do all of that for myself. So there's a local feed mill here in Wilcox. It's called Made Right Feed. And it's a lot cheaper, and I can buy bulk grains and ingredients. So I can mix cracked corn and soybean meal, and the goats really enjoy that. And to balance out the fiber, I can give them a bale of alfalfa to chew on. It saves me a bit of money. I think it'll average out to maybe $13 or $14 for 50 pounds of feed versus 17 or 18 or 20 for prepackaged mixed at, let's say, a Tractor Supply. So it's a small savings, but that adds up over time, and as you get more animals and you buy more feed, you really notice the difference. Of course, you can buy in bulk, 1,000 pounds of ingredient at a time in a big tote, but I don't have any heavy equipment to move that stuff. If I had a forklift, I would definitely buy more food at a time, save even more. Animals can get deficiencies just like people, and that's why these prepared mixed add in vitamins and minerals. And of course, you can easily buy minerals and salt licks for the animals, but it's less of a problem if you let them free range. They seem to find their nutrients. I think the biggest problem with these deficiencies are what they call a mono diet. They eat only one thing day in and day out. For example, just alfalfa for my goats. If they had nothing else, just alfalfa, they would end up with imbalances. And the animals seem to get bored with the food as well, and they either won't eat enough or they overeat and gain too much weight just because they have no variety. I've noticed that with all of the animals, in fact. They're all prone to do that. Just by giving a little variety, I noticed my chickens eat less than when it was the same brand of layer mash week after week. So since I'm still on a small scale, I can't really speak about large-scale farming, but small-scale homesteading farming, free range seems to be working out really well, and mixing bulk ingredients also seems to work out really well. And most of these ingredients can be used for multiple animals like soy meal. So that saves on logistics and things like that. So I recommend you experiment with that as well. I find it interesting that places like Tractor Supply don't sell many raw ingredients. You can get cracked corn, but I haven't seen soybean meal. You might have to get it special order. They really focus on those prepackaged foods. So I bet the feed companies and Tractor Supply won't want me sharing this with you, but bulk ingredients and free range are the way to go.